Do you want me to try?
I am live. Happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, one word conversations. I will let you know that we have some visitors in the studio today. And so if I get distracted, it's because my son and his girlfriend has moved to the East Coast, and they brought two cats that are still getting used to their surroundings. So it is what it is. Sometimes within conversations, we have to deal with distractions and all that other kind of things. But I am committed to this conversation, and when within this conversation, I've recognized that there is distractions within it. So bear with me as I focus in on it. But it's going to be fun. As I've been doing for the last couple days, is including our sponsor. Our sponsor of Disconnect to Connect is IamWilliamBrown.com. And IamWilliamBrown.com has U cards, and I use the U cards daily to kind of set the intentions for today, and just kind of see where I am. And so the U cards that I picked for today to set the intentions for this show is, I am enough, you are complete. And the quote card is, in Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And so recognizing within that everything that comes up in this conversation that we're going to have, and it's a conversation around the word lie, those are my intentions, to recognize that I am complete and I am enough. So, with that in mind, as I do, I invite one of my friends to come and have a conversation. Good morning.
Good morning to you, William Brown.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well with this opportunity to get up early on the east or the west coast today,
Well,
breaking my commitment to not use a hair dryer during the pandemic for you.
wow, I am so honored. There's so many lessons that I've learned during this pandemic, and one of them was around my hair, right? So I guess there's so many lessons within that. This is the opportunity where I give my guests the chance to introduce themselves, however it feels comfortable to them.
Well, during this pandemic, I am a person who cuts my own hair, just going on with that topic. But my name's Angie Swartz, as you know, and I'm an executive coach. I work with people that are already having a fair amount of success in their life, but they're having that pull that they want more.
Hmm.
Something is there's a pitter patter in their heart that they're supposed to show up for something different, in a different way, bigger way, more
Right,
meaningful way.
right.
I speak, and I've had a few podcasts, and the underlying foundation of everything I do is spiritual counseling,
Hmm.
and knowing that there's something exists in the world that is bigger than us, whether that word for that is God or the universe or spirit or whichever one, nature, whatever speaks to the person that I'm with.
Got
So
it.
I'm here today in sunny San Diego, California, actually Carlsbad, California. Just
Yeah,
moved closer to the coast 2 weeks ago.
right. Well, I appreciate everyone that's showing up within this conversation, and I totally get it. One of my biggest things that I am embracing is that I am purpose. The more that I embrace that I am purpose and there is purpose in my life, the more that I'm able to show up in my life, and having friends and coaches like you remind us of of that, and support us, and standing in that is incredible, and I'm honored to have you as a friend. So,
Me
as
too.
as we have this conversation, how does the word lie land for you?
Well, there's a lot of emotion around that word,
Right.
I think. I was thinking about this last night as I was falling asleep. Lie, when I think about lie, I think about betrayal.
Mm,
And I thought about, why do we lie, or why does someone lie? And
right.
it comes from fear, right? Like
Right.
we lie because, well, our truth feels like it's not enough.
Mm,
And our truth is so important. It's really all that we have.
right.
Um, so when I first saw the word that you had chosen for me, or randomly had given me,
Right.
um, I thought, wow, that's kind of a dangerous conversation. But nothing's really dangerous, right?
Great.
Like it's diving into every moment, every meaning, being present, as you mentioned earlier when we were warming up together, like being present into whatever is in front of us and
Right.
taking responsibility. Um, but I just looked up the definition for
Okay.
lie on my
Okay.
phone. So let's just read it, shall we?
Okay. All right.
Um, so lie, be in, oh, sorry, wrong definition here. Lie
Oh,
down. Maybe that's an intentional definition, because it's 8 o'clock in the morning.
right.
So we don't want to lie down.
Right.
We're trying to stand up with this topic.
Right.
Um, Well, for some reason, a lie is an assertion that is believed to be false, typically used with the purpose of deceiving someone.
Mm,
The practice of communicating lies is called lying. A person who communicates a lie may be termed a liar.
right.
Like, so if we had to walk around our whole life with a big sign on our forehead that said liar, how would
Right.
someone see us? Like,
Right.
how would people see us, and how would, if they knew that we told a lie, how would someone relate to us?
Right. I totally get it. As I have learned through these conversations with one word, that words don't come with just their definitions. They come with stories and other words and expectations and a lot of other things. How I asked a question a couple years ago, and it was, I don't want to say, there's so many social media debates. I think the interaction, going back and forth that I had when I asked this question wasn't a debate. It was just interesting. It got a lot of traction, and I asked, what is the difference between telling a lie and not telling the truth, or is there a
Mm,
difference? And for me, I think there is a difference. Is that I believe, taking out the moral, things, morality with it, right? I believe that a lie is more about someone's understanding of something and our judgment to what they know or don't know. So if I have a judgment that you know the truth, but you're telling me something else, then you're lying. It's not just if I know the truth that you're lying, because you may not know the truth. There's a lot of things that I don't know, that I'm not aware of, but I still speak as if I know. And
for
to
example,
for an example is that I I say that something, the name, this just came to mind. I don't know why, because I wasn't expecting the example to just question that. But coffee, coffee is bitter, you know. I believe that, and I say that. I say that, I don't like it because it's this and that. That's not the truth. That's my, that's what's true to me. but it's also not a lie. And so, so hopefully another example can come to me, but there is so many things that I believe for whatever reason that it is, because I believe that there is a truth, because I believe in source, God, the universe. There is a universal truth, right? So my job, or in my journey, I am gaining an understanding of that truth. So, on my way of communicating my understanding of that truth, I am speaking lies, because for me, a lie is not the truth, right? So, if I believe that I don't know fully the whole truth of the matter of the universe, there are many lies that I speak throughout the day. And because there are some things that are true to me that are not the truth. And so I can say, this is what's true to me right now. But recognizing that, by talking with you, someone like you, I can gain more information, and now I'll be closer to what's true, or closer to an understand, or truer, right? Truer to my understanding, so I wouldn't speak lies, because now I have a different understanding of that. And so hopefully that didn't get kind of convoluted and everything like that. But too often, I believe that if I call someone a liar, or if I say that's a lie, it's because of something that I know, and I'm making a judgment or an assumption that they know. And
Hmm.
because I believe that you know, or they know, and they're saying something other than that, now they're lying.
So a lie is a misunderstanding
Yes, I think.
in that source.
Right,
Um, and so how do we avoid lying in that true sense? Like, we know our own truth
right,
deeper and deeper. We do the work to get closer to our own personal truth.
right,
And um, on that, we're both on different journeys and different
right,
stages of our journeys, headed towards our truth, or the one truth, we could
right,
say. And in this lifetime, while we're in our earthly bodies, we probably don't get to the full
right,
version of the truth. And in your definition, then we'll always be lying to each other a little bit,
right,
because your truth will be different than mine. And so, what's important about that? Um, I think the importance, based on your framework, which is beautiful, is that we have to be gentle with each other, and know that there are differences. My truth is different than yours, and the lying in that definition is not the problem. It's the intent, or if there's an
right,
intent to deceive,
right,
which comes, why would we do that? Why would we have an intention to deceive one another, or
right,
I to you? Maybe because I'm afraid,
right,
or I am not comfortable with my own truth,
right,
or I'm not trusting that you'll accept me as I am.
right. No, I think, I think that's great. For me, most of the lying that I did in my life was the omission, the I didn't say. I knew the truth, I knew what was true to me, and I just didn't say anything, because I didn't want to. I didn't want anybody to get mad at me. I didn't want people, to think something, thinks poorly of me, or whatever the case, whatever I story that I made up in my life. So I just didn't say thing. Or I wanted people to think well of me. I wanted people to have me at a higher regard. So I didn't say what was true, in the matter. And so living my life hiding behind what was true to me caused me to one, lie to myself, and then consider myself a liar, but not revealing myself as a liar. And so really come to terms with, you know what, there are some things that I will say and, or not say, that the more that I own it, or the more that I step into it, and I think that you were talking about before about giving people grace and having compassion for people, that's what I heard, that, but it's within a conversation. I say that I try to have a judgment-free zone with people that I talk to. And how I frame that is that judgments may come, but they're free to go. And the more that I allow a judgment that will come up about what I think someone knows or what someone is saying or not saying, I can let that go and just stay in the conversation. And I think the more that I stay in the conversation, we will reveal ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I have talked myself in and out of trouble many times.
We
Just
probably
keep
all have.
right, right. Just keep talking. Just keep talking. We'll see where this goes.
I'm sure we all have. I
And
have to
go ahead.
I have to tell you, like, this is the third time since we've been on this call that I've had this this aura of Eckhart Tolle,
Hmm.
like
Yes.
in the way that you're showing up and presenting conversations and referring to topics. And um, there's a little Eckhart Tolle in you. It's interesting.
It's kind of interesting that you say that. Is last year my word of the year was now. And so the first book that I read was The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, right? And it was very, I'll just say it, it was a difficult book for me, not because of, everything that he was saying and was happening in the book. It was difficult and scary because I was reading the book as if I wanted to learn something new. Okay. But the more I read the book, it was just reaffirming what I already knew. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. How do I know this? How do I,
Hmm.
how is, and it was very scary and difficult. And it was like, so I'm trying to like look through my database of, okay, where did I
Where did this
hear
come
this?
from?
Did I just forget his name? Did I read this book before and I, forgot about? But it was just really, um, the more that I don't know about you, but the more that I connect to myself, the more that I realize that there are things that situations or conversations have kind of hidden from me, you know? And it's like, my word this year is remember. And it is, and how it occurs to me is to put myself back together, to remember myself, to
Hmm.
really
Hmm.
look for opportunities to see the parts of myself that I have forgotten or dismissed or left somewhere else. And because I have been, in some cases, lying to myself that I am somebody that I'm not. And I think, first we lie to ourselves. The more that we lie to ourselves, the easier it is to lie to others. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
first starts with ourselves.
I think what you're so in the work that I do with people, and speak about purpose and teach classes about purpose, and my belief system is that, um, excuse me, that we always know our purpose. Like
Hmm.
inside us, it's always there, but we can't see it, and we're
Right.
not supposed to see it because we're supposed to do other things and grow and evolve and walk
Hmm.
down the path. But I call it, and use a picture. Sometimes I don't have it here with me, but that I call it emotional mud. It's like
Hmm.
you can see yourself, but you're in this big pile of mud, and
Right.
every time we step into our lives, we uncover a little bit of that.
Right.
And I would rephrase, like you said, that you've been lying to yourself, or you've forgotten where you knew these things. To me, what you're referring to is universal truth.
Hmm.
Like, and when we do enough work in our lives and really step in again, we tap into that universal truth, which is what the experience that you described having with Eckhart Tolle's work.
Right.
And what seems to happen over time is you go to conferences, or you listen to a podcast, or you read a book, and as you evolve, let's say, you have that experience that you just described over and over and over again. Oh yeah, I've heard this before. Or, oh yes, I already know this. How do I know this? And we're dancing around the topic of intuition as well, but
Right.
but that's the opposite of a lie,
Hmm.
right? Like,
Right.
knowing that you're stepping into the universal truth. And we'll just use the word God for anybody that's listening there, replace it with whatever your name is,
Right.
universe, spirit, whatever. But when you tap into God, and I know, God is all there is, and I'm God, and you're God, and coffee is God, and
Right.
and
Right.
even it might feel bitter, but it's a different experience, or different flavor of God spirit expressing itself through you.
Right.
So once you get really comfortable with the universal truth, there's no more reason to lie.
Right. No, I totally get that, and I appreciate that. And I think what I was pointing to is lying to myself, that or lying to others, is because there are so many. It feels to me that there are so many conversations and there are so many ways that people show up that makes us believe that that is the truth, you know? And so we hold on to that, of their understanding of the truth. So because of that, we have embraced the lie. And so that's, like I said, that's, it gets kind of, when I kind of deal with light, and that's why I wanted to unpack this word, is because I I want to not just give grace, and compassion for other people in their speaking and how they're showing up, but the more I'm able to give grace and compassion to myself and recognize that, is you know is this level of communication or this way of being true to you? Does that feel true to you? Or are you holding on to a belief system, or a conversation that somebody else had, that, you want to be the truth, right? But you now know that it's not the truth, but you're still saying it as it is true. And
Why do you
it's
think that would be? Why would we do that?
I think it comes down to our connections. I've become, belonging. The more that we stand in our understanding of what's true to us, or what's the truth, in our life, we create this separation, this independence, this aloneness that we are. There's only one us. And the more that we understand, the more that I stand in myself, right? In the fullness of my understanding of who I I am separating myself from people. I am no longer in comparison in. So it creates in me this separation. So it's like, crap, I don't want separation. So I will tell lies, or I will have communication to keep connection, to kind of stay in communication. So it's like, it's sometimes when you agree with someone says something crazy. This shows up on social media for me all the time, and they're a dear friend, and it's like, yeah, that's crazy, but I want to support my friend, so push the like button, right? And so they think they're, hey, I have agreement, and it's like, yeah, no, you don't, but but I do, because you want to be, and I think there is that feeling of belonging that comes up in me, that causes me to hold on to a lie or stay within a lie, that I know that it's not helping me or them.
let's talk about lies as it relates to the pandemic
Okay.
and the transformation that we're witnessing
Okay.
today.
Great.
You know, um, and the reason I say that is because, everybody wants to fix everything that's wrong with the world all the time,
Right.
right? And we like to pontificate about that and talk to, well, that person should do this, or this person should do this, or the government should do that, or the president should do that, or I'm
Right.
mad because this happened, or,
Right.
but, how does change really happen? Like, change doesn't happen from any of those things. It happens from standing in your own truth and asking yourself the questions of, and let's just use lies because that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
I could say, it makes me really mad and angry when someone lies to me.
Hmm.
And so I'm never going to speak to them again because they're a liar.
Right.
What does that do? Causes separation, right?
Right.
Causes less unity in the world. What I have to do instead of that, I mean, I can have my emotions, but when I am through those or comfortable enough with them, I have to step back and look inside myself and say, how am I like that thing that made me angry? How am I? I'm really angry because that person lied to me. Well, let me look at what the trigger really is. Who have I ever lied to? And why did I do that? And let me look
Right.
down deep in there and heal myself,
Right.
because that's what really changes the world, right?
Right.
It's nothing other than each of us doing our own work and rising to a higher vibration or higher level of consciousness.
Right.
At least I think,
Yes, I agree. No, I totally get that. It is like, it's, what came up for me is like leaning into the lie, or because as I said, I think me calling something a lie is a judgment, because there has been some times where I have pressed people who have said something that I quote unquote knew was a lie. And the more that I like engaged and pressed into that conversation, instead of just throwing my hands, I know you're lying and I'm out, I there was an awareness that what, they don't know. They didn't know. They really believe that what they were doing was the truth. It was, and it was, and that's what brought me to the question before: is there a difference between not telling the truth and lying? And I think that there are so many ways that we are, I don't want to say lied to, or are we have put our communication on this scale of little white lies, and or this is a big lie, or this is purposeful. We put all these descriptors around our communication and our lying, to kind of make it seem like, there is grades to this, or because of the impact of it. And I think I also believe lies create, is a part of lies is betrayal. It's betrayal of that, the trust. It's not, I don't expect for people to have the truth all the time, but I do trust that you're not going to, there's not going to be a deception. There's not going to be something that you're intentionally, hiding things from me or keeping me in the dark. There's a lot of blind spots that I have that are not intentional. But when I find or understand or get awareness that someone is intentionally, keeping things from me or lying to me, it is then we need to have a conversation. And I think what's happening in a pandemic and the conversation around race right now is that there is an awareness or a desire to get a better understanding of something, and there is awareness of, this is not the truth, but this is what we've been told. And so what the hell, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so what can we do? What do we do in those moments and all of those things that we're coming aware of? How can we stay connected, stay in unity, but call people out on what they're saying and not saying? That is pretty much life or death matters.
Hmm. Hmm. That's a big question. It's a very big question. Um, I think, going to the place of what you said, betrayal, and asking ourselves, because when someone betrays us, it hurts,
Right.
right? Like getting stabbed in the chest or the back. Um, and asking ourselves, like, why is this so painful? And
Right.
following each step of that question to the point where you can authentically have a conversation with the person that
Right.
says, you can try to get answers, you may never get them, but
Right.
this line of thinking takes us to the place of forgiveness.
Right.
Like, we have to go to the place of forgiveness and not fester, not hold grudges, to be constantly saying all day long, every day, that person's doing the best that they can do.
Right.
And ultimately, this is not about me, it's about them. It's
Right.
about what they're capable of showing up to doing, and how can I forgive them, not not erasing what they've done or condoning what they've done, but in my heart, how can I forgive them?
Right.
How can I do my own work to say that, and knowing that forgiveness is for me? I don't have to say, um, hey, Bill Brown showed up without a haircut. That he must, on the day that I was on the show,
Right. Right.
that must have been about me. I'm going
Right.
to make that about me. I'm going to, really stand in dig my heels in and hold a grudge about that.
Right.
Silly little example, right? But
Right.
really,
But we do things like that.
but
Right.
it's not about me. It's not. Very few things that another person does is really about us, is intentionally used. So, if we stood in that place every day of, um, everybody's okay, I'm okay with everybody, I'm going to forgive everybody. If everybody did that, what would the flavor of our world? How different would it be?
Yeah. It would be totally different. But I think I am wrestling with the belief that I have. I don't believe that people are doing their best, because I believe, and this is a belief that, and it's, I guess, within my conversation around my coaching, is that there's a number of us that doesn't have an awareness of their best, of themselves. So
Well,
if they have,
that's the other words that go with it. The best that they can
yeah,
at that point in time,
right. So
you know.
right,
And
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 got
going
it.
back to that conversation about evolution, like someone that's, and it's, it doesn't, if you're more evolved than somebody else, it doesn't make you better, it just makes you different.
Right,
But it gives you the responsibility to have a wider lens of where someone's at. If you've
right,
done a lot of work and you're around a lot of people that haven't, and I mean personal development work,
right,
when you're around a lot of people that haven't, you can say they're not doing their best. Well, why is that? If you go back to the truth of I'm God, you're God, everything's God,
right,
why aren't they doing their best? They're
right,
doing that their best for the place that they're at in that space
right,
and time.
right. No, I get that. And I think to connect the betrayal for me, the only way someone can betray me is that there is an assumption or there is a belief that there was a stronger connection or there was a more, they were for me or something, you know what I mean? That they were looking out for me. If so if I don't have that connection to them, they can't betray me. You can't. It's something. If I don't think well of you, there is no way that you can betray me because I don't expect much from you. you know and so, because you're going to do what you're going to do. It's the story of, I think it's like is it the frog and the scorpion, right? That it's, the scorpion, the frog carries the scorpion across the river, and after he says, hey, take me across, and he's like, He's like, no, you'll sting me. It's like, no, I'm not going to sting you. If I sting you, we'll both die. And so I'm not going to do that. So it's, eventually the frog relents and gives the scorpion a ride. And right before they reach the shoreline, the scorpion stings him. And the frog died. And while dying, the scorpion says, wait, I'm a scorpion. So that's what I do. I sting. It's like, and that is the thing that, put myself as the frog situation. Yes, I want to help him across. However, if I believe that that's what a scorpion does, he's not getting on my back. Period. I don't care what he says. And so if sometimes we are being convinced that people are not who they say they are, or not how they're showing up, and then that's how they can betray us. That's how they can hurt us. That's how they can stab us in the back or stab us in the front or lie to us, because we don't respect or appreciate our beliefs or our knowing of them and of the situation, and give them space to kind of show up differently, and so we have a different belief, then they can portray us. There is a way that I show up for the government, or how I look to the government, or how I look to certain political figures, is because what I believe about that system. And so they do what they do for me. There's no like betrayal of a political party or anything of that. It's like because of what I think of them. And so the more that I recognize for me, am I telling myself lies about this situation, this person, my business, or am I in the truth? The truth, what is so? What is so is I'm not having enough sales conversations, or what is so is this person can't communicate on a level that makes a difference. What is whatever it is, the more that I acknowledge that what is true to me, they can't betray me, they can't lie to me, they can't do that, and I will stay within the conversation of that, the conversation that starts with myself, and that'll allow me, if I'm willing, to get in conversation with that situation or those people, so there's not a betrayal, there's not this surprise. I can't believe you did that to me. It's like a part of me, every time I have said that, the next thing that goes through my mind is like, yes, you can. You knew that was going to happen, but you chose not to. You chose not to listen to that, and you decided something else.
Well, and why? Because you had your heart set on something,
right?
Or
the connection and all that other kind of the emotional thing of that. So we allow. I had to say to myself, because I hate to speak for other people, but I was getting to a point, and I think there's still a point in my life where I will hold just as tightly to the lies that show up in my life than the truth. And the more that I'm able or allow myself to let go the lies, the things that I know that are no longer true to me, the ease that comes to my life. And it's that letting go. And it's like, I have a big category of things that are simple but not easy. And I think I was talking to Christine or someone else earlier this week. I was like, it's kind of turning into a junk drawer, because it's like there's a lot of things that are simple but not easy, and just put it in there and kind of deal with it later, right? Type of thing. But it is really that the more that I recognize that there is letting go of something is a key. Surrendering to that, it'll give us access to the possibility of things. So, it's like I said, I have come to the fact that because the way we communicate with each other, lies are going to happen. What I am going to do within the lies that I say and people say will give me access or bring me closer to what I believe is the truth.
Right. And what do you have to do to be able to show up that way?
Right.
You have to constantly be checking your emotions on
Right.
all of those things and going back to your truth. And as you alluded to earlier, like staying right here in the present, not, if you're in the present, a lie happens in the past, or fear from a lie happens in the future. Like being right here, what's mine to do today?
Right. Yeah, and it's and with no, it's hard, as you said, with forgiveness in our hearts. I think for me, like I said, there I go again talking for we, but there, when I find it hard to forgive someone, it's because there is this feeling, or I don't know if it's a lie or not. Maybe I think it is a lie, right? That I'm letting them off the hook. If I forgive you, I'm letting you off the hook. But I think what's truer for me now, when I embrace forgiveness, I am letting myself off the hook.
That's right.
you know, you know.
That's right, because the person who harmed you is not thinking about that anymore. It's our obsessive thoughts that are processing it over and over and over. So if you think about giving yourself freedom of mind, or raising your energy level so that you can create or do something else, like right. It's the person's done, they're gone, they're right. Not thinking about it. We are the one that is captive to the lie, or right. The betrayal, or the hurt, or so forgiveness very much for us.
Right.
The time, it's easy for us to talk about this, like the time that it's very difficult for me to find forgiveness is in the moment, in the moment of an argument, and I've gotten to know myself so well that these things are much more rare than they used to be. But I mentioned to you earlier that I just moved a couple weeks ago, and when things like that get me and I get off my center is when I'm too busy, or I haven't done my daily practice, right. Or I have too many people needing things from me at the same time, or I feel pressured because I have too many things on my to-do list, real or unreal. Right. And I personally have to work harder to get myself to the place of my center so that I can clear the fog and go, okay, there's no reason to be angry here. There's no reason to lie to myself about what's happening.
Right.
Yeah. And as you step more into spiritual life, I think, and more into being an alchemist who helps people transform things, it becomes more and more important to make time for taking care of yourself and doing your own forgiveness work and all those things.
Right. No, I totally get that. I mean, we could talk about this for hours, because as I said, there's lies everywhere, right? Where there's all kind of lies in our communication, but it is up to us to do when our judgment or our awareness of the truth not being spoken. And I think that's how I kind of work it out. Is there anything, as we wrap up, here today, that that you've gotten out of this conversation, or that you want to leave everyone with?
Well, I think the wisdom that you've brought out in this conversation is that lies are as common as Starbucks. Right?
On every corner, right?
they're everywhere. They're in every grocery store. And if you can look at a lie and say it's part of society, there's something there for me to do if I feel emotional about a lie or I feel triggered. It's that the wisdom that you're bringing is it's a part of life, and we can't be attached. We can't just be attached, because that gets us stuck. and causes us to shrink. So very astute of you.
Right. Well, look, it's like, um, there's a part of me that wants to say, yeah, because I've lied enough and I kind of know, right? Or I've been lied to enough and I, I know. It's like all of those things, all of the above, right? And
Well, it's
so,
that. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just like, you reach a point where you say, I'm either going to live my life as a liar or a liar who no longer practices lying, right? Or works hard not to live in the practice of not telling myself the truth.
And on the converse, like you go to that fool me once, fool
Right.
me twice, like people that are victims to liars get to look at themselves. Why am I putting myself in that position over and over and over again?
Right.
So,
So, well,
as you
thank
said,
you.
we could talk about it forever.
Right.
I
Yeah.
love I love the work that you're doing here. I know it's very meaningful for many people.
Well, and I appreciate it, and I put up your website so people can to connect with you, and because you have an incredible, the word that's coming, it's kind of the holistic type of work, in the sense that looking at not just how we're showing up within our work, but just how we're showing up in our being, right? It's the spiritual purpose of our life. There is, and the more that we embrace this, the spiritual ness in that purpose, that we can show up fully in our work. And I think that's the my understanding or my appreciation of the work that you're doing. And so it's great that you were able to be here to talk about the lies. If you can take a moment with and sit in the green room for a little bit, we'll say our goodbyes from there. But this has been great.
Yes, thank you so much for the rich conversation.
Well, thank you. There's a part of me that is screaming at me. It's like, don't accept lies. Don't accept lies. That is, that's just a terrible thing. Don't. But the acknowledgement that lies are a part of our communication, lies are a part of our interaction, brings us to a place to stay within our communication so we could come closer to what's true and the truth. I so much enjoy these conversations, and I would really love to hear what's showing up for you. There's a number of comments that came up within the thing that I will look at after the show and respond to that. But I am so honored that you joined me today, and looking at the word lie. So the more that we know what's true and what's not true in our life, the more that we can show up fully within it. That's the lie I'm telling myself. So, the world wants you, the world needs you, and the world is waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.